Immigration Minister Kenney announced these changes yesterday, and he joins me now. Hi, thanks for talking to us today.
My pleasure.
So the EU has indicated that it may consider imposing visa restrictions on Canadians in light of this new rule placed on Czech citizens. What do you make of that?
Well, I haven't heard that from the European Union. I met with their acting ambassador here in Ottawa yesterday. They gave no indication of such a measure, and quite frankly, it would make no sense. Canada already has a visa requirement on 2 EU member states, Bulgaria and Romania. There was no discussion of a visa requirement for Canada. I think what we're hearing is a bit of the Czech government, understandably, messaging to a domestic audience on the issue. The reality is that Canada demonstrated its good faith for the European Union, lifting the visa requirement for 7 member states, including the Czech Republic, last year. And there's only one country where we've had a significant problem. Since that time, we've seen nearly 3,000 refugee claimants from the Czech Republic, which doesn't make a lot of sense, because if they don't like living in their own country, they can go to 26 other Western democracies in the European Union. They don't need to come to Canada seeking refugee status. Basically, this is a violation of our immigration system. Canada has a generous, open immigration system, one of the most generous in the world, but it can only exist if we maintain the integrity of the system. And that means we can't allow the systematic abuse of people who are basically coming to Canada as economic migrants, jumping the queue by going through the back door of the asylum system.
So if this is about bogus refugee claims, then why impose the visa requirement on everybody, including tourists?
Well, you can't sort out who are legitimate travelers and who are intending to overstay until they apply, and that's exactly what the visa does. In a sense, it moves the Canadian border out overseas because now our visa officers will make a determination: is this person coming to Canada with good intention as a tourist, as a business person, as a student, or do they in fact intend to make a false asylum claim and overstay illegally in Canada? That's why, quite frankly, a visa is a normal state of affairs. We have visas on most countries in the world. Every foreign citizen requires a visa to come to Canada unless their country gets a special exemption based on objective criteria. And when we see a situation where there are, we believe, organized efforts to virtually exploit people by selling them advice on how to come to Canada and game our asylum system, at some point we have to say no. We're not going to allow Canada's generosity to be abused. We're not going to allow our laws to be systematically violated. And we're not going to set up a 2-tier immigration system, one for people who patiently wait in line legally to come to the country, and a second tier for people who break our laws by jumping in through the back door, making false asylum claims. That undermines the entire Canadian immigration system, and we simply can't allow that to happen.
Are most of these false asylum claims being made after that person lands in Canada, after they've already been here?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there are 2 kinds of refugees. There are the millions of folks living in UN camps who are real victims of violence and persecution, and we'd like to do more to help provide them with protection in Canada. There's those folks, and then there are people who arrive in Canada and make asylum claims. They say if they go back to their country of origin, they're going to be persecuted. That doesn't make a lot of sense for people who are coming from Western democracies like Czech Republic in the European Union or Mexico. Now, both of those countries have challenges and they have problems, so do we. But if you're in the Czech Republic and you're having problems, you can move to one of the 26 democracies in that union. And quite frankly, 90% of the asylum claims being made by Mexican citizens are being rejected as unfounded by our Independent Immigration Refugee Board. That indicates to us a massive gaming of the Canadian system, a violation and abuse of our generosity. And as the Minister of Immigration, I have a responsibility to look out for the hundreds of thousands of people waiting in line legally to come to the country. It sometimes takes a few years because so many people want to come here, and I can't allow them to watch people jumping the queue illegally, rushing into Canada, making false claims. It's just not fair. It's not the Canadian way.
Let's talk about the tourism industry. Now, they're up in arms over the fact that this is happening right at the height of tourist season. Any chance that this can be delayed?
No, and to people in that industry who have said they wanted more notice, look, if we were to provide weeks or months notice, that would be completely counterproductive. It would simply send a signal to all of the people who want to come here illegally and jump the queue to do so. It would be a big, huge advertisement to rush the border, to come to Canada as before the visa is imposed. That would be ridiculous. I predict that we would see thousands more unfounded claims. And by the way, each one of these claims, talking about cost, we estimate that it costs the Canadian taxpayer at least $29,000 at federal, provincial, and local levels to maintain services and the costs associated with each asylum claimant in Canada. I'll tell you, that's a price I'm more than willing to pay to help provide protection to real victims of real persecution, but it's not a price Canadians should be forced to pay for people who are abusing their generosity and breaking our immigration laws by jumping the queue. Now, we're talking about collectively hundreds of millions of dollars. There are homeless shelters in the GTA in Hamilton that are overflowing beyond capacity because of the recent massive influx, particularly in that case, from the Czech Republic. Do you know there is a flight coming from Prague to Toronto? On some nights, the majority of passengers coming off that flight are subsequently making asylum claims to stay in Canada, which can give them a mix of welfare benefits and a work permit. Again, that's just not fair to the other folks patiently waiting to come here legally.
Immigration Minister Jason Kenney, thanks for that.
My pleasure.